Welcome one and all to Umami Manga. I'm Petter and this is James.
Hello.
And today we're talking about volume 5 of Oshi no Ko. With this volume, I'm so happy to read new Oshi no Ko content for the first time in a long time for me personally. Since I read the chapters of the first 4 volumes way back when they were releasing, and I stopped after that to wait for the physical releases. So having read volume 5 now, it's the first time in 3 years, 3 whole years, that I've gotten
Wow.
new content from Oshinoko. So it's
Holy cow.
yeah, I've been waiting a while and I'm just happy to get something new on this. And it's not disappointing at all. I'm very pleased with how this new arc has been going so far.
Yeah, I like the characters that are introduced and things like that.
Mm.
We're still not pushing the main plot line any further at all. I know it was gonna be a
Mm.
slow burn, but it's still maybe it's a little slower than I like.
It is slowing down in that sense, I feel like, because
Yeah.
before this volume, each of the first 4 volumes was each kind of an arc of their own, like contained within a single volume. But this stage play arc definitely it seems to be continuing into maybe multiple volumes.
Yeah. Or at least the next one.
Right, at the very least, one more, yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
but who knows? Maybe it'll be like a 4 or 5 volume thing. Who knows? Who really knows?
Uh-huh.
But quick summary for volume 5. The volume starts off with a sweet little monologue from Ruby to her mother. Then we move on to the Tokyo Blade stage play shenanigans, dare I say, where we get to familiarize ourselves not just with the entertainment world of stage plays, but also with the entertainment world of manga. As the creator of the Tokyo Blade manga enters the picture and turns the theater production upside down. And a few breakdowns later, they got a new script and rehearsals resume.
And then Aqua has a mental breakdown. The end.
Yes, yes, more breakdowns. Yep, that's how the book ends. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about this one. Should we do it?
Let's do it.
So starting with Abiko Samejima, the creator of the Tokyo Blade manga, and possibly a medium for Akasaka to channel some of his own feelings through? Or what do you think?
Potentially. I'm not sure who he sees himself more in,
Hmm,
Kichijouji Sensei or Samejima.
yeah.
I guess I'll call him by the first name.
Hmm,
Abiko or Yoriko. I'm
right.
not sure which one. Maybe he a little bit of both in him because at this point he's definitely the sensei, the mentor in his career
Right.
versus the up and coming, hot shot mangaka.
True.
But Abiko, he can surely relate to Abiko with the weekly manga artist angle because for a while I feel like the only thing he's worked on is a weekly manga.
Right, and even
Uh,
multiple weekly manga at the same time. So that's like,
yeah, insanity.
that is insane.
But yeah, there's definitely some shots at that industry and
Yeah.
really kind of at the mindset of the kinds of people that you'll find in that industry,
Mm-hmm.
as well as the theater companies as well, or some sort of understanding between. Well, really, more yes, the theater was touched on, but also the understanding of what it's like to get a work adapted and kind of the compromise that needs to be made between
Mm.
the two genres of media.
And I think it was depicted really well because we see, or like, because initially when Nabiko is introduced to us, she's this awkward and rather weird mangaka,
You
and
don't brush your teeth with two toothbrushes at one time.
can't say
You,
I
you,
ever
you save
have.
yourself a minute. Save yourself a minute.
Yeah, I should try it now. No, but she made them rewrite the entire script, or rather, she made it so that the whole entire script got rewritten, and I do totally get that. Like, sure, in certain ways, I think she may be a bit much, but at the core, I totally understand her. Like, because for one, the communication wasn't really working clearly
Mm.
between her and the theater producers and the scriptwriter and whatnot. And so from her perspective, kind of the things that had been said and the product that they were presenting her in the beginning of the volume wasn't what they had promised, and when she wasn't pleased with it. So I totally understood her wanting to just redo it all. But I thought
Yeah.
she had a beautiful little journey throughout this book in well, yeah, growing and getting to understand the other point of view. Because I think the issue really stemmed from, well, as I said, the telephone game kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That was definitely one of the, in my opinion, two big issues. Where like because the message was just completely morphed, and making communication super difficult to actually be efficient. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and the other issue, I think, obviously, Abiko not understanding, I guess, the craft of writing scripts for stage plays, and
Mm.
how that actually is a skill that is valuable.
Mm-hmm.
So in the end, the problem is solved by Abiko getting to better understand how stage plays and their scripts work, and
Mm-hmm.
allowing Abiko and Goa to talk to each other directly without any other people interfering in between. And it's such an easy fix when you think about it, but it's also a really, I think, realistic issue, sadly, that occurred in this volume. And I think it's beautifully depicted, and it's a good lesson, probably. Not necessarily just in the entertainment world if you're working in that, but in general, because these things, like communication, is always important, and seeing and trying to understand other points of views is also always important. So like, those are some reasons why I really like Abiko's journey in this volume here.
All right. Now it's my turn.
Sorry.
So, so I totally agree with you.
Mm.
I think that I kind of feel like they gave her a bad rap at the beginning
Uh-huh.
when she kind of brought her complaints. She had every right to complain,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
especially with the issues of miscommunications, which aren't her fault. It's
No.
the fault of everybody else in between trying to be nice or not taking her critiques into consideration and just not giving her a straight up answer. And also not giving Goa the right direction
Yeah.
to make her happy. So, was she wrong in a few ways? Yes. She shouldn't have said what she did to Goa. Obviously, she was misinformed about certain things.
Right.
And then she doesn't have any idea how to write a script or things like that. So definitely there were places where she has fault. And it was an important lesson to her to learn that she can't do everything by herself. Not everything in her mind is perfect or flawless or is the right medium or style for an adaptation or something like that. It, she is a genius in her world, but not in every other world.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just something important for her to learn. However, she had every right to be upset with the terrible job they were doing. Let's take today's example. Avatar: Last Airbender. You have gone on record within our Discord that you do not like this new adaptation. You feel it's better than Shyamalan's take, but that's not saying much.
No.
And the creators left the project and various other things, and maybe it has some faithful adaptation to it, but it doesn't have the same heart. It doesn't have the same soul. It changes some of the characters in strange ways.
Yeah.
When Abiko points to one of her character, the character that Akane plays, basically saying she would never say that.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like she has every right
Of course, yeah.
to be upset about that. And just because you're adapting it for a play, in my opinion, a person who has done plays and has, as a scholastic level, has written plays before, I feel like you can you can still have the character be the same personality, but make it for a stage play. You don't need to
Yeah.
change that character's personality. That's
No,
ridiculous.
for sure.
Absolutely ridiculous. So it's interesting that. Sorry, I'm talking long.
No, no.
It's interesting that Akasaka went this route in that I'm glad that we are sympathizing for both, but at the end, it does feel like we're sympathizing more for the script writer, for Goa and the play production rather than the mangaka and being faithful to her work. It's interesting.
That I yeah, I don't know. The way I read the depiction of Abiko was like I thought she was written pretty how should I put this? Evenly in good light and evenly in bad light, kind of. Um Roughly.
Hmm.
And I thought that was good because it kind of shows in a realistic way probably
Yeah.
how a person could be as a human kind of.
Yeah.
Um so I personally really like that, and like at the end of the day, I think she's a good person, and yeah, I mean, evidently we both agreed with her having issue
Mhm.
with the initial script and whatnot. I think she was right in that. So yeah, I don't think she's necessarily written in a bad light specifically.
Hmm. I mean, I don't think it completely bad light. I, I, I do think there's good and bad, obviously,
Hmm.
but it to me it does feel like she is more like the manga trying to make her seem like she's more in the wrong than the actual theater production, and and I'm not trying to put the blame on Goa. I'm trying to put the blame on really the producer.
Yeah,
It's his fault
yeah,
because we have a literal moment in in the manga where he hears the watered down complaints from Abiko through the editor,
hmm.
and it's like, well, we can't do that. Yeah, we don't. The production would be crazy. Just tell him to dumb it down even more or something. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's as if you to me, and I understand. I'm not a producer. I'm not about the money. I get it. But if you're gonna do something, put the effort into it,
Yeah,
especially for a big manga that like this one, supposedly.
exactly.
But I'm glad they could eventually talk it over, like you mentioned, and make something that they're all happy with. And I'm excited to see it. I hope we get a good chunk of the play in some form,
Yeah,
um, so we see how great it is.
that would be awesome. Actually, yeah. I don't necessarily have high hopes for that, but now that you mention it, I
Right.
hope to see a decent portion of that.
I'm with you. I don't really have a whole lot of high hopes, but I think it'd be neat
Mm,
to see them try to depict a stage around or whatever they call it, the moving stage
precisely.
in a manga form, and just some scenes here and there.
Yeah.
It could be interesting.
But Akasaka is not a stage play script writer, so maybe he cannot write a good script like that by himself.
Maybe
He is
good.
a mangaka after all. Uh, but about the final little writing session between Abiko and Goa. Well, obviously we haven't seen much of those two characters after that happened, but we know that something that Abiko kind of seems to rather desperately be seeking and wanting is connections with people and kind of relationships with people in various ways. But she's obviously having major issues with or struggles with that, and social interaction is not necessarily or is not at all her strength, I guess you could say. Um,
Hmm.
and I was hoping that we would see, as I was reading through the volume my first time, I was really hoping that we would see her connect with someone at some point, and I was thinking, or I felt like that script writing session with her and Goa could have been one of those connections for her, and so I hope that we'll get to see, hopefully in the next volume, that there is some kind of connection forming more clear, more visibly between the two of them. I
Right.
think that would be very nice to see and satisfying.
And I don't need romance necessarily between them.
No.
I don't know that their statuses, of course, but I feel like if they were to be friends within the industry, within the entertainment industry, I think that'd be really cool.
They'd be powerful.
Yeah, yeah. But you do see a lot of growth with Abiko through just one volume. And I mean, maybe she hasn't completely changed. I mean, she still has to hire assistants eventually, but I'm hoping that this experience has opened her eyes a bit and she'll, you know, be a little less intense on things.
Right. Yeah, I wonder because I feel like her lesson in this book was about, well, mostly focused on the stage play part of it all and the teamwork that happens there. The pessimist in me wants to think that she hasn't learned anything in terms of her manga work
Oh,
because it's a very different issue there. I think the issue there isn't that she can't do her work, it's that she can't allow others to do the work that she can do the manga work herself. It just takes a lot of time.
but why does she not let other people do work? Because she doesn't trust them to get it right, and that's
Mm.
exactly what's happening with the theater play. She doesn't trust them to do it right.
But then she realized that she can't write a theater script herself.
She can't do this manga by herself.
Okay, fair. In the long run, hopefully she will realize that. I'm not totally sure that she has realized that yet.
I think there has to be some sort of realization, or there could be like a minor realization here that you have to meet people in the middle. You can't
Mm,
just completely overtake them.
mm.
That's just not how interacting with people in a lot of ways works.
Yeah.
Obviously there is some subtleties that she didn't understand, as we see like her go off on Goa, of course.
Mm,
But I think opening up to Yoriko like the way she did, and seeing that once you do meet people halfway, try to understand them, like with the script, it can actually turn out to your benefit and you can be happy with the product. So I'm hoping that she can do that with an assistant as well.
that would be awesome.
Last thing I have on her is that she says 90% of the world's art is trash. Come on, be reasonable. More like 75%.
Actually,
I'm
I kind of or spontaneously kind of agree with her. Actually,
fair
I just
enough.
because
Fair enough.
it just most of it just doesn't reach most people's eyes
Yeah.
because it's so trash.
Yeah.
So I think 90% might be accurate. Sadly.
Okay. you, you know, it's not, yeah, it's not too far fetched. It's just more of her attitude, it's of how she says it. It's maybe a little too elite kind of sounding.
True. That's
Um,
fair.
but I wasn't as taken aback by the phrase as say Yoriko was. You
Right.
know, I don't think she's too far off. So I guess I'm more similar to you in that mindset.
Well then, let's move on and talk about Aquamarine Hoshino next.
Okay.
So his current target is director Kindaichi, and he wants to get close to this guy now. Even though he didn't really make any progress with that in this volume.
No. I'm not sure if Kindachi even knows his name.
Right. Barely.
I'm kidding. He probably
He probably does, but like we've barely seen the two of them interact.
yeah.
Just very little.
I guess there was towards the end he was trying to get Aqua to actually act.
Precisely.
The end there, but that's about it.
Mm. But Aqua did get to see a stage round play, which he was very amazed by. And so after learning that Goa had written the script for it, he in his own way fought for Goa to be able to return as the scriptwriter for the Tokyo stage or the Tokyo Blade stage play. And I just thought it was nice to see a little bit of passion from Aqua there. Because it seemed to me like the fact that he was trying to get Goa back was because he respected his capability as a scriptwriter,
Mm.
and he thought he deserved this. As I thought that to me seemed like a nice gesture.
Yeah, I I generally do think he sees the good in people and wants the truly talented people to shine in any way they can.
Mm.
I did kind of roll my eyes a little bit when he kind of whips out his phone or whatever. He's like, I guess I got to push things forward or whatever he says. Like, oh, here's Aqua going to save the day again. It's like every arc,
Yeah.
nothing happens unless Aqua, puts it into motion.
Yeah. No, I get that, and I felt a little bit similarly, but at least here, I feel like it was a combination of his intervention and Sumiyaki's intervention and Yoriko's intervention. Like the three of them
Yeah,
all kind of played a hand in changing Abiko's mind.
right. There's a lot of people involved.
Yes.
It is interesting with the plays that he's like, yeah, I think the acting is exaggerated, or I can't really get into it. It's coming from the guy who exaggerated as a creepy stalker dude in his previous. I mean, did you see yourself? I'm just saying.
Oh
Um,
man.
I guess you gotta use your imagination and be like, oh yes, the one you see in front of the camera is much more subdued than what would be on stage. Sure.
Yeah.
I'm so picky with this manga when it comes to the acting portion. Having been in the acting world, very minorly of course, but I was in that space for a time, so it is interesting to see it portrayed in the way it is. And honestly, it's kind of cringe sometimes. But well, maybe I'll touch on that more later.
No, but to a degree, I can agree with you. It's not something that really bothers me much. I also did acting for 11 years, not professionally, but still.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess the parts where that kind of get me especially are like the small little panels, montagey panels, kind of that show the actors acting, or it's like the like it's just these speechless or like textless panels, and you just see that they're really acting as like, and it's just
They're acting so hard right now.
right. They're like sweating how much, like, because they're acting so much. Like, like I can agree that that's kind of a little bit too much, maybe, but it doesn't annoy me necessarily.
Yeah. It does annoy me a little bit, but
Fair, and I get that. I do.
yeah. Speaking of the whole acting thing,
Mm-hmm.
he is so convinced that he shouldn't be an actor, and maybe he shouldn't. I don't know, but he has, at least within the comment of the story, he has talent, but he just can't get over Ai's death. And we see it at the very end as well,
Mm-hmm.
where he's like, "Wait, I could have emotions. I could be happy," which is also kind of dumb. But it was sweet to see him when he was thinking about happy memories. What did he go to? He went to the new Bikomachi, like the recent stuff, and there was like a whole section for Kana stuff. Let me just say.
Indeed.
But there was recent happy memories for him. But as soon as he tried to use that, his previous self kind of jams right in and tells him, you have no right to be thinking that way. And so he's obviously in an interesting mental state. And yeah, I don't know what I was going to say after that, but just acting. Honestly, I do feel like he's a good actor, and I think we have from the first volume. I think he does become an actor at some point, or was it a director? I can't remember.
Well, he wanted to work behind the scenes. It seemed more like.
Maybe he'd be happier just being the manager of Bikomachi, or in
Right.
that field of work. I don't know.
Hey, I like that. Yeah. Right. Well, and yeah, like as far as his acting goes, at least at the moment, I think he excels more as a film actor rather than a stage actor. but he definitely could learn. Obviously, Kana's lesson to him at the end of this volume wasn't really working, obviously. I think it was a mistake to bring up the death of Aqua's mother, even though it wasn't intentional, obviously. It's really tragic to see Aqua, as you said, try to, or well, he did successfully think of happy memories and whatnot, but then having the complete breakdown after recalling Ai's death instead, kind of, and the fact that he doesn't allow himself to be happy, that he doesn't think he's worthy of that happiness after he failed to protect Ai. It's so sad, and like that was of course the reason for the breakdown, was that sudden kind of hit of that traumatic memory. But I wonder if this breakdown kind of happened extra easy, especially easy, because of Kana having just moments before mentioned Aqua's mother dying, and how it was even fresher in his head than it otherwise would have been. I still, it may have still happened either way, but I think this just kind of increased the chances of it. So it was just an unfortunate situation.
Yeah, for sure.
But at least he's not the only one struggling with stage acting. It's him and Melt. They're in the same boat together. So I think that's kind of funny after having seen the difference in their skills last time, or in the last project they were on together. Now they are basically in the same boat.
That's all I have on Aqua.
Same here. Then let's move on to Akane Kurokawa. There was a part right before they went to do the first read through of the first script. Akane said, "Just a second," and then she closes her eyes and then opens them up again, and there's like a tiny little star in each of her eyes. And Aqua seemed to pay attention to that. Initially, I just thought of it as her getting into character, and maybe that's all it is. But the fact that they were stars, like the fact, like using the star motif in the eyes at all, even though they're very small, smaller than they were when she was playing Ai, it still got me to think that there may be more to this than just her getting into character. I don't know. The fact that they were stars and the fact that Aqua was paying attention to it just kind of got me to get that feeling, but I don't really have any more thoughts on that necessarily, just the observation about it.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting observation. Maybe it is like a spark in her that, changes her character, like, who she's portraying. That just, well, basically marking that she's not herself. And maybe Aqua notices that, but
right.
Of course she's not acting like I in this instance, so it goes on. But yeah, maybe he notices that. I think it's safe to say he does with that panel. Like, I think he notices at least the change in her.
Right.
But I don't know if there's anything deeper per se.
Yeah, there may not be, but oh well.
I appreciate how she stood up for her role, and I'm glad that she was able to give her thoughts before the script was changed and say, "Hey, why are we doing this character this way?"
Yes.
She ended up being ignored, which honestly I'm sure happens quite often, unless you're a hotshot Hollywood actress working with a not so hotshot director. Maybe I don't think a whole lot of directors will give their actors the time of day. They have a vision, of course, or they're trying to make money. But I appreciate her. She really cares about these characters. She really thinks about them, dives into them, and wants what's best for them. And then I can appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so in the end, we finally got a script, or she finally got a script where the writers, or where her character was written accurately to how she had interpreted the character.
Yeah.
So that's very, very nice.
That's gotta feel justified.
Yeah, so justified.
I did my homework. I know what I'm doing here.
For sure.
Going to the stage around was neat. although they hardly showed anything, they implied it. That's the thing with this manga is there's a lot of close-up facial shots. You don't get a whole full body shots or much of anything else that's happening around. Like you get explanations of things or little diagrams, but not. Have you noticed that, or am I just being too picky here?
Wait, for what part again were you talking about now?
Well, specifically, I was talking about the stage around where
Mm-mm.
we don't see the stage play at all.
Right. True.
Which it's not the main focus, but it would have been neat to see a little bit. I guess I shouldn't say at all. There's like 3 panels of Aqua watching it, but we go quickly away from it, and it just now it's just a bunch of text about it instead of showing us.
Yeah, that's fair. I hadn't thought about that specifically, but you bringing it up now, I do see. I can see that it's been a thing that's happened a couple times.
Yeah, and I guess I've always felt a little claustrophobic when reading this manga for some reason, because it feels like the faces are so close up a lot of the times. There's some backgrounds and sometimes there's zoomed out shots, of course, but it just I don't know. I feel like I'm like breathing down their neck sometimes.
Oh,
I don't know. It's just a strange feeling I have. If anybody else feels that way, who's listening, let me know. Or if you think I'm crazy, also let me know. But just wanted to throw that out there.
Right.
But maybe they're waiting for the Tokyo Blade performance to actually show us what a stage around could look like on a manga panels, like more in depth.
That would be nice.
Maybe. I'm not holding my breath.
Fair, but still, that would be nice. Anything else on Akane?
No.
Then let's move on to Kana Arima. I think it's awesome to see her acting at her full capacity now and not having to hold herself back because of any...
The chains have been loosed. Limiters broken.
I mean, truly.
Going all out.
I think that's exactly what it is. Like, now we'll actually see her shine. And I think that's going to be amazing.
I mean, good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her to feel that she can finally be at 100%.
Precisely, yeah, just let loose. And Akane made the observation that, well, she notices some confidence and resolve in Kana that apparently hadn't been there before Kana became an idol. And I reckon it's a combination of her new idol experience and the fact that she doesn't have to hold back her acting skills anymore. I think it's both of those two things.
I agree with that.
Giving her this new appeal, I guess you could say.
Yeah, the environment of being around these grade A actors, along with her recent experiences, it just all accumulates to this moment, and it's great. It's great for Kana.
Absolutely.
And you know what? I'm gonna throw another one in there. I think her self-esteem has improved ever since understanding Aqua's and Akane's relationship. I feel like she was really down on herself more so than usual about all that, and obviously she was holding a grudge. But once that misunderstanding was resolved and her relationship improved with Aqua, I think her mood and her confidence also improved. So
yeah,
I think all those factors have kind of really helped Kana.
Yeah, I can see that. And of course, getting the supposed awesome script in the end is also great, as I assume it'll be even more of a motivator for Kana to really shine as an actor now.
Looks like we actually have to act this time, guys. Oh boy.
And the way she puts it, like it's writing on the actors now. Like the rest is up to them. I don't think that's completely fair. I think there's a director who needs to do a good job as well here.
Yeah.
But still,
yeah.
I still think that's nice.
What did they think before that? It'd just be a bunch of music and special effects, and that'd be good to go.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, the bar wasn't as high before. I think that's it.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I understand not every production is going to be, Hollywood or the best of Broadway type acting. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I've never liked the idea of not putting my full into something.
Mm.
But Kana has her reasons why she had to do like that. Her experiences with being a child actor and whatnot. So
Indeed.
I don't blame her for that or
No.
think what she's doing is wrong. In the end, I feel like she's in the place she should have always been.
For sure, yeah. She's finally found it. But anything else on her?
No.
Then let's talk a bit about Yoriko Kichijouji, the creator of I'll Go With Sweet Today. And I just think it's, in general, very fun to see her, well to see more of her than we did.
Right. I did not expect that. Wait, so you're a recurring character? Okay.
Yeah, and I'm all there for that. Like, and it's obviously for us Kaguya fans, it's especially funny seeing as it just it started off as just well, kind of a gag in Kaguya being her manga, and like there was a chapter revolving around it, and that was funny. And here she's actually becoming a fleshed out, full on character, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah. Right. And it gives us that other perspective where you have the up and coming or has arrived really manga genius and the maybe towards the end of her career. Well, I'm not going to say that, but the seasoned veteran, the mentor, type mangaka. And so it's great to see that perspective as well as a person whose adaptation was trashed, for just to say the least. But yeah, I appreciate that insight and her perspective. I also like the insight on what an editor does.
Oh yeah.
For the mangaka, she was the one that was explaining that.
True.
And this is something that I think I had an idea of, but I didn't truly understand it or realize it, is that they will encourage the artist to keep the manga going while the adaptation is airing. If there's an anime or live action or something, they want that to lead to manga sales. So you have to keep the manga going. We can't let it end yet. Yeah. So it almost becomes a never-ending cycle if it just keeps getting adapted and selling well.
Indeed.
So, I mean, I guess congratulations to all those mangakas who were able to actually end their stories.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so who knows, maybe maybe it's Yoriko that Akasaka is using here to maybe get some of his feelings out there potentially. I don't know. I don't know. I don't claim to know, but maybe he felt that way about Kaguya-sama. Maybe he would have wanted to end it earlier than he did. I don't know.
Does Yoriko play Apex Legends? Because that's
right.
Akasaka's favorite game.
That's right. we need to know.
Honestly, Abiko seems more like the Apex Legends player, but then you never know. You never know.
No. But it was cool to see how Yoriko can tell what kind of person another manga artist is by reading their work. She claims that all mangaka can do that. I don't know if that's true, but at least she can do it, or she claims that she can do it. And to get her thoughts and kind of understand her mixed feelings about Abiko in that chapter, I thought was realistic. Like I could really buy those emotions. And as I was talking about Abiko before, like I think it's mostly through Yoriko that we get to understand, or maybe not mostly, but to a pretty large degree anyway. It's through Yoriko that we get to understand and know some about Abiko.
Mm-hmm.
And it's especially this duality kind of Abiko's character that we see through Yoriko, and I think that's very sweet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I agree. I like their friendship, the mentor and the mentee, the apprentice, but how the apprentice has become the master in a way, and now they're colleagues, and it's just a good and realistic relationship probably for the mangaka world. I'm sure that happens quite often.
Right. Next, I want to talk a little bit about Melt Narishima. I did not expect to see him return here.
No,
but
just bringing all the minor characters back. Why not?
exactly. Yeah, no, but yeah, he's been training his acting, and he seems to genuinely want to improve, and he seems to have done
Yeah.
some actual growing in that field. And he even told Kana to like, please let me know if I'm not good enough, because he genuinely wants to improve, and I think that's awesome. And I really enjoyed this turnaround for his character, because with this volume, I think, at least for me, he went from someone that I had, I guess slightly negative feelings about, to someone that I'm actually starting to like,
Yeah,
and I think that's very fun.
I agree. I think I'm right there with you.
Awesome.
I really appreciate his efforts to improve his acting. Uh,
Mm.
sure, I imagine he has a way to go, but
Hmm.
it feels he has made those steps, and he's actually somewhat competent, even.
Right.
So that's great. And I think he'll redeem himself in the end. I have no idea if he'll redeem himself in the eyes of Yoriko. If that could actually probably be a good gauge of things. But I mean, as far as she's concerned, he's dead to her. But
Oh.
uh, I do think he will redeem himself, at least in the eyes of Kana. I think Kana will
Yeah.
see him recognize him as a good actor.
Yes, I would love that. It's also kind of sad, I think, to see how much he really seems to regret how bad of a job he did in Sweet
Yeah.
Today.
That I think that's what makes him endearing at this point is
Uh-huh,
you can see his remorse about that.
for sure. Next, I guess we could talk a bit about Goa.
Yeah, popular script writer for the stage. I ended up feeling bad for him, and I think rightfully so.
Mm,
I get that stage writing is different. It absolutely is. But you can't tell me that completely changing a character is necessary for a stage adaptation. We discussed that a little bit already, so I won't go too deep into it. But
mm, mm.
that's just sea level tiers of storytelling, and it's what people get mad about when Hollywood tries to adapt an anime or something like that.
Right.
It's it's ridiculous. So I don't feel like he has a leg to stand on in that instance.
Yeah, I wondered if that specific instance of him defending the original interpretations of the characters, or for his script specific for his original script,
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if that was kind of skewed by the fact that, that they'd been having this game of telephone between him and the original creator, and he had misinterpreted, or well, yeah, because of the telephone game, he had misunderstood what the original mangaka wanted from the theater script, and it turned out the way it did because of the poor communication. Really, that's the only reason. But he felt like he had to justify it somehow, so he found an elegant way to explain it, I guess.
Mm-hmm. No, I 100% agree with that. And that was actually the next point I was going to get to is it's the producer's writer's fault. And yeah, the other people, but I feel like if you look at his comments, he's the one that completely changes it. What Abiko was trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
And so poor Go is just like, okay, I guess I can make that work. That
Yeah.
seems doable. So yes, it's not completely his fault.
No.
He was just justifying what was being told to him, and in the end, they they made it work out. They had an understanding, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
He just says adapting is creative work from hell, and I don't doubt
Yeah.
it. I
Yeah. No. Mm.
especially in Japan where you have this telephone system of communication, and maybe it's improved since we have Zoom and other kind of meeting technologies now. Maybe there's some sort of improvement there. But having to go through all these people who have differing opinions and don't want to hurt people's feelings, or I gotta sell, I gotta make money. It all gets
Mm-hmm.
corrupted. At the end, you know, it's amazing that we have such great adaptations that we do, and
Yeah.
we also have some terrible ones.
Of course.
Um,
Yeah.
so it's just ironic since so many anime shows are adaptations nowadays, whether manga or light novels. You know,
Mm.
it's basically that industry is adapting manga.
Yeah, for the most part. That is that is interesting. And I thought Goa to me was an interesting character in my perception of him,
Mm-hmm.
as because it changed throughout my first read through of the book, in
Right,
how initially
right.
I was like, oh, okay, yeah, dude, get rid of that guy. If he can't understand these characters the way the mangaka had intended, and we even had Akane to kind of back that up as well, then he's not evidently not doing a good enough job. Get someone else to do it.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of my thought initially, because we didn't know about the struggles with communication, or the telephone game and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And after learning that, I understood that, of course, yeah, no, he does really care about this adaptation, and he is a very skilled script writer.
Right.
It's just all those other factors that mess things up.
Akasaka did a good job of getting his side of things, making us sympathize for him,
Yes,
and making us see both sides.
for sure. But next up, we can talk a little bit about Sumiaki Raida, the producer.
Okay, I guess I've already sprinkled my thoughts on him throughout the discussion, so
All right.
feel free to take it away.
Then I only have one little thing, and it's where he has his speech to Abiko near the end of the volume, like right before they let Abiko and Goa talk to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Where Sumiyaki has this speech to Abiko, which I thought was pretty awesome. I think that was an excellent lesson in the importance of working as a team and valuing each team member's profession and skill.
Yeah.
Um,
No,
kind of contained
you're
within
right.
that. Obviously, the volume as a whole was kind of about that, but I thought that specific speech kind of encapsulated those messages in a speech form really well.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, and his speech was necessary to get her to meet them halfway.
Mm.
I just he has a huge blame in this, and he's not taking any responsibility for it.
That's fair.
It's like you got to be reasonable. I'm blackmailing you, yes, but it's for the good of the production, please. It's like, you're the one who whatever. Yes, it was a good speech, and it helped out Abiko in the end. I hope there is some sort of responsibility taken though,
Right.
from him. I don't think there will be, but it would be nice.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like the type to necessarily
Nah.
take that responsibility. Oh well. He's an interesting character though.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, he's a decent guy. He was just doing his job.
Yeah. But any other characters from the theater scene that you want to talk about?
I just want to bring up Taiki Himekawa. I'm curious if he's gonna take on a bigger role the next volume. He seems to be very, I guess, interested in Kana and her skills. Uh, don't know if it extends anything beyond that, of course.
Hmm.
Maybe there's a love rival thing that could happen there. I don't know. But also Aqua seems to take in an interest in, almost like sees him as a rival, even though he doesn't say it himself. Just the way he looked at it or like introduced him, it
True.
seemed like, oh my gosh. But to be fair, I'm not even sure if Himekawa even notices him yet.
Right. Yeah, because we don't really get to know him much. Like, we don't really know much
No, we
about like
don't.
what he's like as a person. Like, does he pay attention to others, like lesser
Mm-hmm.
actors? Like, I don't know. Like, is he that kind of guy, or like, I don't know. I don't know. I definitely
Mm-hmm.
want to get to know this guy more, and it seems like we will, because they seem to make a deal out of him being just excellent as an actor.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that deserves more focus than this.
Yeah, for sure. So hopefully we'll get more on him in the coming chapters.
Yay. And that's all for the theater people?
I think so.
Then I just want to touch a little bit on Ruby Hoshino before we end the character discussions. 4 months have passed since their first Bikumachi concert or show,
Mm-hmm.
and in the time since then, those 4 months since then, they'd had several little shows and started to establish themselves little by little. So I think that's very exciting for the new Bikumachi, and of course for Ruby especially. Like she's psyched about it, to say the least, and to be able to call herself an entertainer now, finally.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the moment with her friends, Shiranui and everything. That was good, to
Yeah.
see her interacting with fellow students that way.
Mm-hmm.
Although, I mean, she was already friends with those guys, but now she can breathe a sigh of relief,
Precisely, and maybe she will gain, or I'm sure she probably will gain maybe a little more confidence now because of this. She may gain the courage, perhaps, to talk to more people in the school, perhaps people that she hadn't. Maybe she'd been intimidated by, or felt like, oh, I'm just a lowly non-entertainer. But
Mm-hmm.
maybe she'll have the balls to talk to some more people at the school now, perhaps. Well.
Kind of a funny word to use there, but it would be funny if she ends up finding the next Bikomachi member if they're gonna recruit someone else at the school.
Oh yeah, right. We talked about that a little bit last time. Oh yeah, finding it that way, that would be interesting.
I still don't think it should be Shiranui or the fake Kansai girl either. I
No,
forget her name.
right, but right because we've already had two people that weren't known for being idols switch over to an idol career.
True.
And maybe in general, like if I'm gonna have to like take a stance now on whether there will be more Bikumachi members or not, I'm probably ultimately gonna say no,
That's fair.
because, well, or actually I don't know if I have a reason for it. It's just a gut feeling.
Ah, that,
But yeah.
that's all you need. That's all you need.
What do you think if you had to say there will be more or there won't be more?
With the way the story is going, we touch on so many characters that are outside the idol world and even outside of Bikomachi that
Right.
it does feel like if we're gonna get more characters in the story, it's not gonna be in Bikomachi.
Mm.
So I guess I would be inclined to think that way. So of the two, yeah, I'm gonna say that they're gonna stick at as a trio.
Mm.
Only thing I have on Ruby, she promises her mom that she will perform at a dome.
Right.
I made that prediction earlier, saying that I think Ruby would not just perform at the dome, but I forget which dome it was, but the same dome that I was scheduled to perform in
Right.
before she was murdered.
Precisely.
And I think that would be, whether it be in game or a peak moment in her career, I think that would be a very sweet and touching milestone for her to make.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, and I'm glad to see that Akasaka also hasn't forgotten about that, or like that's still part of it all, and I'm sure we will get there eventually.
Yeah, especially when you bring it up like this. Yeah.
Precisely right. So that's awesome, very beautiful. But that's all of our characters, I guess.
Yeah.
Then let's dive into some predictions here. So yeah, now after Aqua has collapsed just now, I have a feeling his condition might be quite bad, potentially.
Oh.
So he may have to spend several days away from the theater production, maybe.
Oh.
Perhaps they'll even have him replaced if he needs to spend like
Oh, snap.
an extended period of time away due to poor health, or something like that. I don't know. Obviously, it may just be a very brief little collapse here, and he'll be fine in a minute. But I don't know. My gut or whatever, my feeling about this is that it's something more serious than that.
Interesting. I have maybe a little more optimistic take on this.
Okay, cool, cool.
He certainly could be out for a couple days or something like that. Maybe mentally speaking.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that he will have a revelatory acting moment,
Ooh.
and that something will click with him. Or maybe I should say, instead of having this depression or mental instability cripple him to where he can't do anything, perhaps he either gets some sort of encouragement or finds the mental fortitude to refuel his revenge warpath and just rise up as an actor and do the emotions and things that he says he couldn't do, that will lead him this will lead him down his acting career, meaning this will begin his acting legacy, and people will remember this as his first big break.
Ah, interesting.
And he will resolve once again to find Ai's killer through the acting world and put his whole heart into it instead of just being all, oh, I'm not really an actor, that kind of stuff.
So you're saying he's gonna unlock his powers here?
He's unlocking the chains, releasing the limiters.
Exactly.
The power courses through me.
Yes, yes, it's about to happen.
They're all just chunibyo's. That's what it is.
Exactly. No, but that's a good prediction. I like that.
Yeah.
It's definitely I like the optimism in that more than my own
Yeah.
pessimistic prediction there.
I mean, who knows? This manga has its optimistic sides and its pessimistic sides as well. So
True.
it could go either way. I wouldn't put it past him to put him in the hospital for a long time. Replacing him is quite bold. That's interesting.
Maybe that's going a bit too far. It's just something that I just, since I started thinking about this as something bad, and then like, what if it goes farther? Like, if he's out for several weeks, he won't be able to rehearse at all. Then they would have to replace him. But yeah, probably most likely not.
Mm-hmm.
I think I prefer your prediction here. I think that would be exciting, not only in the moment but for the future as well.
What if Himekawa is the one that encourages him somehow?
Oh.
That rival, maybe he's a really nice guy and he sees Aqua's potential or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I think regardless though of how serious it is and what happens now after this collapse, I think the next volume definitely will show us Aqua starting to get closer to Kindaichi somehow.
It has to.
Like, right, one way or another, yeah, it has to.
Yeah. And I think, going along with what I was saying, him stepping up as this fantastic actor, I think would impress Kindaichi and
right,
gain favor with him, and they'd move on from there, I think.
Precisely. If that's the outcome, that would definitely make things easier for Aqua in this in this struggle.
Yeah. And I do want to mention that in his interview in the Volume 1 interview with the future him, haven't gotten there yet in the current story, he does say that he acts like he's continually acting right now. I don't act to make people happy, I act for me. So obviously meaning he's doing it for revenge.
Precisely.
So I feel that at some point he has to take that step to being fully committed as being an actor. So.
Right. Do you think he would switch over from the general education to the entertainers school part thing?
Oh, interesting. If it was beneficial for him, yeah.
True. Yeah, probably that's the only reason why he would do that potentially. And honestly, I could maybe see that because maybe in a few arcs from now, he will find a reason to get close to someone, maybe through the school, But that side of the school obviously has much more potential for the entertainer parts.
maybe he hears something about the Shiranui family and he has to get close to
Ooh,
the Shiranui, you know.
that would be fun. That would be fun, and I would love to like get more Kaguya references or
Yeah,
cameos or
yeah.
in general like connections. Like
I agree.
some more than okay, I mean I'm very happy with the mangaka that we have for Sweet Today and with
Uh-huh.
the Frill Shiranui's last name. But I want more. I want more than that.
You
uh,
teased us too much. Now we want more.
Absolutely. I think all of the next volume is going to focus on the Tokyo Blade and the characters tied to its production.
Mm.
So yeah, or I guess I'll stop there. I think all of the next volume is going to focus on that. What happens after I'll save for next time we talk. But yeah, at least volume 6, I don't think is going to really focus at all on the Bikomachi stuff.
I'll differ slightly and say that Volume 6 will halfway be about
Ooh.
Tokyo Blade arc. Then the other half will maybe even start a new arc and deal with Bikomachi's next event. Because I feel like it'd be nice to get another milestone for their group besides just, yeah, we're getting into streaming and it's going really well and
Hmm.
things like that. So
Hmm.
maybe they come up with their original songs or they have a pretty big stage performance somewhere else or something like that.
Yeah, I like that.
When does the next one come out?
May, I think.
Okay, not too long then.
Yeah, I think they're releasing, at least for the time being, they're releasing English books once every 3 months.
Man, it sucked that it took 3 years for you to get the next volume.
I know, right? But I think a volume every 3 months is a slightly faster pace than they're releasing in Japan. So I guess the gap is ever so slightly closing.
Ah,
But yeah, we're still quite far behind, if I'm not mistaken. I think there's like over 10 books in Japan.
gotcha.
But regardless, I'm just happy to get new Oshino content now, finally.
Yay.
It's wonderful.
Indeed.
But with that, I think we're ending this episode. If you enjoy our content, you can follow us on Twitter at Umami Manga, and it would be lovely if you'd like to support us by rating our show on the podcast platforms and subscribing to our channel, Umami Manga, on YouTube. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time when we'll talk about Volume 6. Bye-bye!
See you later.
It's a shame that they started adapting this one into English so late.
Yeah, they really did. They were too busy thinking about how do we translate this title.
That must have
Forget
been
it.
it.
Don't
Yeah.
translate it. Don't translate it.
I love it if that's the reason. They were just pondering that for 3 years. Like, how do we do this?